Well, if you just joined us, you're welcome. You're watching Newsnight. We're going to Algiers in Algeria now, where the opening ceremony of Afreximbank'S Canex is holding, with a keynote address by Afreximbank President Benedict Oramah.
His Excellency Nadir Labayou, Honorable Prime Minister of the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria, represented today by Honorable Minister Soraya Mouloudji, the Minister of Culture and Arts of the Republic of Algeria. His Excellency Wankele Mene, the Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area. His Excellency Ambassador Minata Sesuma, Commissioner for Health, Humanitarian Affairs and Social Development of the African Union Commission and co-chair of the Creative Africa Advisory Group. Honorable Ministers, Governors, and heads of partner institutions, members of the Diplomatic Corps, members of the Creative Africa Advisory Group, esteemed partners, creators, producers, distinguished guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Please allow me to start by extending our profound gratitude to His Excellency Abdelmajid Tebboune, President of the Republic of Algeria, as well as to the Honorable Nadir Labayou and his government for hosting the 2024 edition of the Canex weekend. And more importantly, for the courtesies and the excellent hospitality extended to us since we arrived here in Algiers. I would also like to thank our esteemed guests, partner institutions, creators, exhibitors, and all participants for setting aside equally important commitments to join us here to share and celebrate Africa's rich cultural heritage. Since its debut 4 years ago, the Canex Weekend and the associated Canex at Intra-African Trade Fair have become important events in the calendar of global Africa's creative industry. They have become vital platforms for featuring global Africa's rich and diverse cultural heritage and creative ingenuity. They've served as a springboard for bringing Africa's creative content from the periphery to the center, enabling their effective commercialization and value creation. What started with a narrow focus on music, movies, and fashion has now blossomed and broadened to include sports, culinary and gastronomy, literary arts, and much more. Canex Weekend is an essential prelude to the 4th Intra-African Trade Fair, which will be held in this beautiful city in September next year. The work we do under Canex is an essential piece in the pursuit of our strategic goal of transforming African trade for the benefit of our people. The creative industry is fast becoming a potent economic force across most economies. Indeed, between 2010 and 2022, global creative goods and services exports rose by over 130% compared to the 60% growth in merchandise exports over the same period. As a result, UNCTAD estimates the global creative economy to be worth about $2 trillion in size, providing significant revenues for small businesses and employment opportunities for the youth and women. Creative industries also account for nearly 50 million jobs worldwide. Regrettably, Africa's $4 billion from creative industry is less than half a percentage point of the $2 trillion industry I mentioned earlier. And this compares to Asia's share of 20%, North America 26%, and Europe 52%. As with many things in Africa, opportunities in the African creative industries abound, but remain untapped. This is why Afreximbank has adopted a proactive approach to catalyzing the industry. Some 5 years ago, we decided to move away from the euphoric attitude of celebrating opportunities to taking concrete actions towards realizing them. We decided to significantly contribute to making an economy out of our rich and diverse cultural heritage and creative talents. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, over the last few years, we have since then matched our words with actions. We've kept our promises to the industry. From $500 million committed to the sector when the Canex weekend debuted in 2020, we doubled the amount to $1 billion in 2022 as demand for funding grew. Today, I'm pleased to announce a further doubling of our creative industry finance window to $2 billion for the next 3 years. This will enable us to support significant infrastructure investments for film production, stadia, arenas, manufacturing facilities for fashion, and training centers. With this funding, we will be able to expand the frontiers of our intervention in the industry. And because we now recognize that financing needs in the industry extend beyond debt to venture capital and equity financing, we've also responded. A private equity film fund targeted initially at $500 million is under development by Afreximbank'S Impact Equity Fund called the Fund for Export Development in Africa, FEDA. The fund will invest in all aspects of film production and distribution. We thank the members of the Canex Advisory Council, Mr. Boris Kojo and Magic Johnson, for pointing us in this direction, and look forward to their continued support and partnership as we develop this initiative that we hope will propel the rise of global Africa in the global movie industry. We've also approved the Venture Capital Fund to support riskier creative industry ventures across all pillars of our Canex program. And through the Canex program, Afreximbank is nurturing talents and expanding opportunities for Africa's creative entrepreneurs. Specifically, Afreximbank collaborated with the esteemed Nigerian author Chimamanda Adichie and Narrative Landscape Press to host a literature workshop in Ghana recently. Out of over 500 applications from writers across Africa and the diaspora, 20 were selected to participate in the workshop. The short stories crafted during the workshop will be published in an anthology in the very near future. Last year at the Canex at the Inter-African Trade Fair event in Cairo, we proudly announced the launch of the Africa Prize for Publishing. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are thrilled to welcome the finalists joining us here at Canex Weekend, where the winner will be announced. Our most prominent transactions have been in sports and film financing. The first film financed by the bank recently premiered at the Toronto Film Festival, and several other films from Nigeria, South Africa, and Kenya are set to debut on international streaming platforms in the very near future. We also collaborated with the celebrated film producer Mo Abudu in producing a short film that was screened at the Cannes Film Festival last year. The bank also supported the development of the state-of-the-art Houphouët-Boigny Sports Stadium in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire, which hosted some of the African Cup of Nations football matches earlier in the year. With over 2 billion people who watched the AFCON, it was the perfect opportunity for Africa to showcase how it could host the world with excellent facilities, quality of sports, entertainment, and business revenues. To support the music industry, we inaugurated the Canex Music Factory in 2022 in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire. This initiative has already created 32 songs with a 12-track album set for release on iTunes and Spotify in November this year. The Music Factory fosters collaboration among African artists and facilitates the exchange of knowledge and experience amongst African musicians. The initiative builds on our successful partnership with Grammy Award winner Vincent Berry II, through which over 300 songwriters from across the continent were trained in songwriting and the business of music. We are also promoting music collaborations across Africa and the diaspora, working with iconic artists such as the Afro-Brazilian band Olodo. I'm glad to announce that the collaboration produced the One Drum extended play, which has been released in all major music distribution platforms, with songs by artists such as the Mali Brothers, Flavor, the Scorpion Kings, and Sophia Zhao, who you just watched. Some of these musicians will be performing at the Canex Music Concert at Safex tomorrow evening. Join us to an evening of celebration and be transported across global Africa by the rhythmic and pulsating songs in one drum. Since 2021, we have been intentional about developing Africa's fashion ecosystem. Our Canex Presents Africa, which started at Portugal Fashion in 2021, has now grown. Through Canex Presents Africa, African fashion designers are getting the global exposure they need to excel. Since its inception, the program has supported 80 designers from 29 African and Caribbean countries, enabling African brands to be launched by international luxury retailers in markets such as Japan, the United Arab Emirates, France, and the USA. A few weeks ago, fashion brands showcased their collections at Tokyo Fashion Week under the Canex Presents Africa platform. The inaugural Canex Presents Africa runway show was held in Paris Fashion Week just over 2 weeks ago, showcasing incredible African talent. Designers such as Sukaina from Senegal, Lagos Space Program from Nigeria, and Tib Magugu from South Africa received an overwhelmingly positive response from industry experts and publications such as Vogue. 20 other African fashion brands were also featured in the Canex showroom, creating valuable connections with international buyers and media during the event. And during this Canex weekend, we will witness a spectacular fashion show presenting African fashion from 10 countries at Le Jardin Essau de Oramah. You are invited to attend. We also launched the Canex Shorts competition in 2023 to celebrate Pan-African short films. For the 2024 edition, over 100 short films from up-and-coming film producers from global Africa were received, following an open call for short films. A jury has shortlisted the films, with the selected films being screened throughout the Canex weekend, where the winning short film will be announced in the coming days. We've established a subsidiary called Canex Creations Incorporated. This company is dedicated to acquiring, aggregating, and commercializing creative content and intellectual property. Canex Incorporated will make vital strategic investments across the creative value chain, such as record labels, publishing companies, brands, copyrights, and film, to commercialize the intellectual property of African and diaspora creatives, ensuring tailored support for the growth and sustainability of the African creative industry. The foregoing presents the notable achievements the bank has made in the past few years since the launch of Canex, and for which I say big thank you to our Afreximbank team members that are driving Canex under the leadership of our indefatigable Executive Vice President, Mrs. Kanayo Awan. We're also very grateful to our partners, the African Union, the AFCFTA Secretariat, as well as our Canex advisory group members, our creators, and all those who have been supporting us, including the governments in Africa and the Caribbean. But ladies and gentlemen, we are not done yet. We will write on some of our achievements and do even much more. Allow me to outline some of our near-term plans. As I mentioned earlier, we are making available an investment of up to $2 billion to the sector in the next 3 years that will target all aspects of the industry, from movies, music, gastronomy, and fashion to sports, literary, and visual arts. Special attention will be dedicated to developing critical infrastructure for the continent's film and music production, textiles, sports, gastronomy, and the arts. The investment will cover all financing value chains, including project preparation, project finance, trade finance, equity, and venture capital finance. Working with the Confederation of African Football, we plan to invest over $800 million in developing stadiums across Africa. We plan to launch an Africa Fashion Week and Music Award weekend at Canex to serve as Africa's own platform for exposing our unique fashion brands and music to global markets. We will be announcing an important collaboration to launch an African sportswear brand in due course, so that we can begin to change the situation where African teams adorn foreign brands when they play games and also do other tournaments and activities within our continent. We want to make sure that our sports creates jobs for our people. We plan to expand the fashion designers we support in featuring at global fashion weeks. We build on one drum to expand the music production collaboration from a global Africa perspective. Also expect that the film fund we are supporting will enable global Africa collaboration in film production and distribution. We will launch an initiative to foster collaboration between visual artists and fashion designers by encouraging designers we support to take inspiration from African paintings in making or choosing their fabrics. This way, visual artists can also begin to achieve commercial success. We also promote and support the emergence of African brands, including investing in them and supporting them through Africa Team stores in major fashion capitals of the world. We will support advocacy towards building and preserving intellectual property in heritage products. For instance, the Adire fabrics in Nigeria. Our goal of internationalizing African cuisine will also gain more impetus in the coming years through a strategy we will co-craft with leading African chefs and food business owners. In closing, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to again extend our profound gratitude to our esteemed host, His Excellency President Tebboune, for the tremendous support we've received from the government and people of the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria since we arrived here. We're also grateful to His Excellency, the Honorable Minister of Culture, Madam Suraya, and all the ministers and all the officials of the government of Algeria for making us at home and for making it possible for us to hold this event successfully. Special thank you to the members of the Canex Advisory Group who continue to steer the strategic direction of the bank's Canex program and contributed to the organization of this event. We thank the Afreximbank'S management for making it possible for us to have the technical support to get going this night and for all the events we'll be holding. We thank all our esteemed speakers and partners, particularly Her Excellency Ambassador Minata Sesuma, Commissioner for Health, Humanitarian Affairs and Social Development of the African Union Commission and co-chair of the Creative Africa Advisory Group. We also would like to thank her co-chair, Ben Bruce, for giving us the leadership that has made some of the successes I mentioned possible. I thank all of you for your kind attention and look forward to a great few days ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Benedict Oramah, the President and Chairman of the Board of Directors of Afreximbank.